What's up, folks? This is Justin Garcia, a.k.a. Master Chim, and with me, I have my partner in crime, my boy Patrick Kelly.
What's up?
And and welcome to another episode of Project Radio. That monotone, like fucking, my parents just told me to. My speech therapist just helped me talk for the first time.
10101.
Oh, Christ! All right, so we have another weekly episode of our Pressure Project Radio show, and I appreciate you guys tuning in. ThePressureProject.com is our website. Info at ThePressureProject.com is our contact email. TheWarriorProject.com is our membership site. Check it out. A little bit of a announcement. If you guys are not yet signed up to the Master Chim letter, you are missing out. You are missing out big league. I'm sending an email out every single morning, usually around 9 o'clock, unless I wake up late, then it's usually around 10. But every single email has info in it. It has power in it. It has, things that are going on with the Pressure Project, the Warrior Project. All of it is geared towards giving you more content. And the newsletter is completely free. So make sure you go to masterchim.com and sign up for the Master Chim letter if you have not already. And if you are signed up and you're not getting them, it's probably going to your spam folder. Make sure you check it out and find it. You'll probably find a whole bunch of them if that's been the case, and whitelist the email address so that way it goes to your inbox with no problem. So far, what's up, Andrew, David, Pierce, Anthony, Carlos, Marius, Big Doug, all right, who's finally out of Facebook jail. Good for you, my friend. Yeah, it's a funny thing. I don't know if this happens to you, Pat, but I'm constantly getting like second, third, fourth friends accounts from Facebook friends all the time because the guys that are on my list are always getting fucking banned. So it's always like some either weird spelling of their name or it's, their name with a number on it, But I don't know how I've gone this long without getting banned on Facebook. I think it's my last name. It's my last name. A lot of them just probably say, "Oh no, he's got to be a liberal," and I wind up getting a pass. I can't hear you.
Said the racist daywalker, as you say.
That's right. I am the daywalker. What did you do just there that it didn't work?
I muted my mic for a second because I cleared my throat. I don't want to be rude.
All right, so make sure you unmute it next time.
It's fucking push the button. I got to push it twice, I guess.
I didn't want to be heard. All right, so Big Mike Davis, Beard, Nick Dean Andrews is there.
I'm having people level up their lip reading.
Yeah.
Pressure to power.
Nick Dean is, what's up, Big Nick? And he was just on a recent episode of The Pressure Project. If you guys haven't checked that out, you can go to thepressureproject.com and see that episode. Pretty shit end of the stick he got down in New Orleans. And, I got to say, for somebody who's done so much good for the people that he was working for, these people down there don't even have a mechanism by which they could sort of measure the impact of an alliance, So if somebody's a good investment, it means the energy you're putting back is somehow synergized upon its return, right? You're getting back more than you're giving in.
Yeah.
A business analogy that I once heard, I think it was Brian Tracy originally said it. A lot of people bite off of him, but I think it was Brian Tracy. He said something to the – or actually I think it was Dan Kennedy. He said if you had a machine where you put $1 in and you get $2 back, how many dollars would you put in? And the idea is as many as you can because it's always going to be a good idea to get back that in return. And when you're making alliances with people, it's very similar. There's some people that the more energy you invest in them, the more you get back. And it's just an argument, right, for investing more energy into them. But when you look at Nick Dean's story, here's somebody who has turned around an expulsion school down in New Orleans. Was pretty much railroaded. I mean, I named the episode Witch Hunt because I think that's what it is. And he never really even had the ability to have somebody look at him objectively and say, well, you know what? He's done so much good for us. Maybe he's not out to get us. Maybe he's not the guy that the media is trying to portray him to be. But without the way to, a way to assess that, it's why they fail. It's why they suck. It's why they don't see progress. And, it's why it is the way it is. Enrique says unbannable. That's right. Me and Enrique are both unbannable. Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Right. Ricardo says Pressure Con 2 approacheth if.
Yeah, it does.
For those of you that are members of the Warrior Project, we do have Pressure Con about a month away, right? Oh, it's actually an exact month away.
Yeah.
And it's up in the Poconos of Pennsylvania. If you are not a member and you have not heard about Pressure Con, send me a question or just send me your info, and I'll send the info to you. It is for members, so you'll have to be a member of the site. But membership is $47 a month. You just add it to your entry fee, and it's a way for somebody who's never heard of it to find a way to get there. Obviously, we vet everybody that's going, and we don't want any douchebags there. We don't want any social anomalies. We don't want any feds. So it's important that we have that process. But I don't want anybody on your end to think that you're not invited. Because there is a path to attend.
Yes.
Yeah, you could send me or White Boy Pat a private message, and
100%. We will square you away.
We will. So, one of the other things that has been going on lately is this Bill Cosby trial. Have you been following this at all?
Somewhat.
So
see him coming in out of court making faces. That shit's hysterical.
So Bill Cosby, it was a hung jury?
I don't know. I don't know. I didn't see that yet.
So you ain't following shit.
I just see him coming in out of court being like...
You basically just told me what he looks like.
Yeah, that's what I saw.
All right, so...
With Raven Simone, right? Walking him in and out? Or some shit?
Well, that I didn't see. I'm picking it up now. It's I think a mistrial was declared.
Oh, okay.
All right, and it was a deadlocked jury, and this is now reading from some article I just picked up. It says the jury deadlocked on charges that he drugged and sexually assaulted Andria Constand. Mr. Cosby can't be guilty unless the jury finds him so, which is the U.S. legal system.
That's how it works.
But the accusations over the last few years made by her and dozens of other women leave you in a precarious place in terms of how to respond. I think we're getting into some bias here.
Either we fucking, or I'm fucking.
Either we fucking or I'm fucking.
Yeah, I just saw him coming out of the court making goofy faces, like doing Bill Cosby routine,
Man, I gotta say, you look at Bill Cosby and Angel, right? Puerto Rican Kramer just sent me a link of people talking about the trial this morning. I just saw it. And, there's a lot of validity to the people that are supporting him. I personally, and this is a personal position, given the evidence, I don't believe these women for one instant. And the reason I don't believe them is because do you know how utterly ridiculous it is, this notion that I'm going to be raped and I'm just going to sit on it, no pun intended, for decades. For decades. And one day I'm going to go, you know what? Enough. The stitch still hasn't healed.
Still.
I don't understand what is the impetus for waiting decades before you do that. How is this not, okay, so let's do it this way. I'm going to tread on some dangerous ground right now. Okay?
Sounds like fun.
let's say that Bill Cosby had sex with you against your will in like 1980.
Me? You talking about me?
Not the royal you. And when he forced his sex on you, I started saying it slow motion. I didn't think out the phrase, but that works, right?
Yeah.
When he forced his Cosby sex on you.
Yeah.
You know, if you waited 20, 30 years in order to report this or join the bandwagon of women who are reporting this, it must not have been that traumatic. Because, like, now this is dangerous ground, Pat. You realize this. What I'm saying is, you know, I'm victim blaming, right? You know, so if you were sexually assaulted, and you always can tell when I'm trying to think my words clearly because I talk very slowly. If you were sexually assaulted by Bill Cosby, by Dr. Huxtable, right?
By Fat Albert.
By Fat Albert. What the fuck? What the fuck would you wait 20 or 30 years for? Now, this notion that, you know, well, the trauma was, you know, such that I had to bury it in my brain. And because of these other accusations, you know, I felt compelled or the courage to finally speak out. Well, like, shut the fuck up at this point. Like, I don't understand what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
Like, do you think there's a chance that these women, let's just say that they 100% believe that they were sexually assaulted by Bill Cosby in 1984, right? By Dr. Huxtable and by Fat Albert, right? Is it possible that they've completely misremembered what happened? Or let me rephrase that because I don't think that's very good. Isn't it plausible that they are not as in touch with the memory of what happened as they would be if it was at the time of the event? You know what I'm saying? It's like, if you're asking me what happened last week, you know, when I was doing a squat workout or something, like, I could tell you what I did this, but there are certain details that even I'll forget because it's last week.
Yeah.
You know? What I can remember what happened this morning pretty specifically, pretty accurately, but with every added day, that memory starts to lose its specificity and starts to get filled by my own, you know, abstract imagination, right? Well, I probably did this. Well, this probably happened. Next thing I know, like, it's just something that it's like I'm playing a game of telephone with myself, you know? Well, so to have, you know, all these
agenda, who started it, you know?
What's that?
Who started it? Who had the agenda originally? Like, where did it come from?
I don't know if it's the woman that he was that he was just, you know, in court against. That what the hell was her name? Contraband?
Connie Contraband.
Andria Constand.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand. You know, Bill Cosby's been around a long time. Everybody loved Bill Cosby. You know, like, you have the people. It's so weird to me. You have these people that are touting racism as why, you know, he's being attacked. And I don't understand why anybody would think that racism has something to do with it. I mean, I know
everything has to do with racism.
Say again?
Everything has to do with racism, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, have you seen the woman who's accusing him?
Not recently. Why?
So her name was not recently. Where you had fucking lunch with her last week.
I saw her the first time they made it, but I didn't fucking.
So I'm going to show you the picture. I'm not going to do all the necessary to bring up the graphic. I'm just going to bring this up here. And this is. Can you even see that?
Wait a second.
I mean,
Richard Simmons fucking got raped by.
What the fuck are we talking about here?
Richard Simmons looking fucked up.
Holy shit. So Andria Constant. And now the whole thing is, there were black women who were accusing him too. So. Yeah. I'm going to read this. This is Andria Constant. I'm going to read what this article says. It says, and this is from people.com. Andria Constant expressed gratitude to her supporters after a Pennsylvania judge declared a mistrial in the sexual assault trial stemming from her allegations against Bill Cosby. In an early Tuesday tweet, Constant, who has accused Cosby of drugging and sexually assaulting her at his Elkins Park mansion in 2004. Okay, so it was, 13 years ago. It was only 13 years ago.
Yeah.
It's like yesterday. The inside of a thigh still smells like cocoa butter. So, thank you. She says, thank you for the outpouring of love and kindness and support. I'm eternally grateful for the messages I have received in recent days. The judge granted the mistrial on Saturday after the jury, which was brought into Montgomery County from Pittsburgh, announced that they were hopelessly deadlocked following multiple days of deliberation. After the announcement, the district attorneys and prosecutors would retry the case against Cosby. Following the declaration of the mistrial, Cosby spokesman told reporters that Cosby's power is back. It has been restored. The jurors, they used their power to speak, the spokesman said. And Mrs. Cosby's power is back. So the legacy didn't go anywhere. It's been restored. The 6-day trial marked a culmination of a sex abuse scandal that has eclipsed Cosby's career in recent years. The Cosby Show star has faced sexual abuse allegations from dozens of women in alleged incidents dating back decades. Cosby has denied them all and pleaded not guilty in Constant's case. In the wake of the mistrial announcement, several of Cosby's alleged victims have spoken out, declaring that the fight is not over. It's not an acquittal, said Tamara Green, who I'm assuming is black, a retired California attorney who first came forward with allegation against Cosby in 2005. She added, I have faith in the jury system in the United States. Another one of Cosby's alleged victims, Christina Ruelli, told people that jury members' personal opinions may have influenced the outcome. This has been a pattern, this has been a particularly difficult case in its factual pattern, she said. I think with the jury, perhaps some may have judged Andria by what they would have done in her place, perplexing to some, rather than that, in fact, a non-consensual sexual assault did occur. So, I'll be honest, what she said, what her testimony is against Bill Cosby, I never fucking read. I don't know the specifics. But what I do know, at the depth of understanding that I presently have, I just don't, I'm not willing to jump on a bandwagon of women who are accusing somebody of sexual assault from over a decade ago.
Yeah.
If you can't, say again?
It's a long time.
It's a long fucking time. And I mean, I'm going to sound, all the bad, mean words, now, but the woman is not an attractive woman. Bill Cosby is not somebody who's ever, I'd imagine, had an issue having sex. Obviously, he's been married to Camille Cosby forever. But let's be honest. These Camille. Camille. See, we all love Bill Cosby. Maybe we can pass our bias.
There's always room for Jell-O.
So I mean, I just, from the beginning, I'm like, get the fuck out of here, these women from 30 years ago. The racist angle to it, I don't see it as that. I don't think, Bill Cosby has ever had an issue being accepted by every race in America. Quite the opposite. He was like, I don't know if you remember when the Cosby Show was on the air?
Yeah.
Everybody loved the Cosbys. Everybody loved the Cosbys.
Very popular show.
You know, it was America's family, right? America's TV family, and nobody had an issue with, you know, and I say nobody, you know, in a general sense, had an issue with a black guy being, you know, a doctor on the show. His wife, I believe, was an attorney. Like his kids were going to college. It was, you know, and it wasn't sort of.
So it was a science fiction show,
right? You know, it wasn't this sort of, you know, I'm going to talk about black issues every week.
No, it was a straight up show.
It was just a family show, right? And it was a black family show, but it was just a family show to everybody, you know. So I think that angle's off base. I think it is much more in line with a bunch of women who, because remember now, you know, by what's commonly accepted these days, you know, if you have sex with a woman who's drunk, you could be charged with rape.
Yep.
Like, mind you, if you're drunk, it almost doesn't matter, you know. So
raping yourself,
right? Are you raping everybody? I'm raping her while she's raping me.
Yeah,
that sounds like a good time.
Double rape.
I don't know about you. Two people raping each other at the same time. That's a good
Friday
time.
Night.
Right there.
That's fucked up.
So I don't know, man. I don't know. You know, you always sort of hope that there's some sort of closure with situations like this, where there's some sort of definitive moment where everyone's like, okay, it makes sense now. But fucking Carrot Top over here.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't even know. I don't even know what to say. I'm just going to be insulting right now. It's not going to really be productive. So, what else? So apparently, like, Bill Cosby's got like glaucoma or some shit. Have you seen him lately?
Yeah.
Like he's got an eye that just doesn't know where the fuck to go.
He looks like, what's the frog's name that they use? Pepe the Frog?
Pepe.
Looks like Pepe the Frog in that picture.
He's got a Pepe the Frog face. Oh, man. What are you doing?
Did that face really rape you? I mean, I don't know. It all sounds like bullshit.
Yeah, I mean.
And one girl remembers something, or is, you know, maybe coerced to remember something, and then it becomes a bandwagon, and then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, I was at his house and I got a little drunk, and, you know, maybe he raped me too. Yeah, he did rape me too. And it becomes something that is not real.
You know him and his pudding pops.
Yeah.
So whatever. You know, that's Bill Cosby. So now,
on a side note, real quick about rape, some chick recently is going to get 2 years in prison for falsely accusing some kids.
Really?
Yeah. Like, so she said 2 football players pulled her to a bathroom. They fucked. She then, her new boyfriend found out about it. So instead of, you know, saying, yeah, I fucked these 2 guys, she said they raped him, went through the whole process. Turns out she was full of shit, and she's going to get 2 years in jail and then probation afterwards.
Good for that bitch.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's
don't make fucking false accusations like that shit. Like, there's no free pass on that either, by the way.
Yeah, and one of the biggest reasons is we have a society that sort of just labels you a pariah just after the accusation, you know,
Yeah.
and that's why I'm so, you know, I'm so hesitant to sort of jump on any bandwagon of some guy being accused of sexual assault when you will have women and a lot of them who spearhead the movements, you know, for, you know, putting the sexual assault stigma out there. You know, when you ask them, they're the women who say, well, if a woman is drunk, she can't give consent, so it's rape. If a woman says no, right in the middle of sex, it becomes rape, like a fucking switch, you know? Like, these things are fucking ludicrous. The whole campus rape fucking statistic that's put out by the fucking libtards, the 1 in 5 women will be sexually assaulted on college campuses. Are you fucking retarded? college campuses in America is the safest fucking place for a woman to be, probably on the planet.
Unless they're fucking drinking, getting drunk, being stupid.
Getting raped.
Yeah. The one time they got it wrong with that guy, remember the guy had her behind the dumpster and the two fucking guys attacked the guy? They fucked that one up a little bit. That one was pretty bad. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But it's to the point now where it's like the boy who cried wolf. You know, we hear the accusation so many times. It's become a sort of mechanism of power in this country for women. And I would say the travesty of the whole thing is that there will be women who are legitimately sexually assaulted, whose predicaments or situations will get drowned out by the white noise of all of these other women who are just either, looking to salvage, their reputation, looking for some sort of financial gain, or looking to just push an agenda.
Or not get caught out as a whore by their boyfriend.
Right. No,
that's what happened with this chick.
Right. And you also got these women who I would say at this point, because the message has been controlled and manipulated so much to this point, they will actually think that they were raped because they don't understand what this is all about. Like having a woman, like a very similar situation. I don't mean to conflate too many things here, but, when you look at the PTSD situation, PTSD is, one of those things. As soon as you put a label on something, all of a sudden, like you give it power, you give the idea power. And it was used at one point to describe, just a person who was exhibiting, a lot of different symptoms, because of some sort of traumatic event. But now it became the sort of go-to for a lot of people for their inability to cope, with their lives, the regular stresses of their lives. But as soon as you use the term PTSD, you're sort of afforded a certain amount of credibility, in the general conversation. But it's the term that has the power that people are now misusing. And I think sexual assault, rape, it's a very, very similar thing where, what we now accept as being sexual assault or rape, I don't think the consensus would agree that it is. But if they just go right to the term sexual assault, they bypass all of that credibility. And we're already, looking at them as a victim and somebody who needs to be protected and, somebody that needs to have consequence, put upon them,
Yep.
Yeah, but it's pretty fucking annoying. So Muslims are still going crazy around the world.
Yes. That's the rumor.
That's the rumor. I just saw the other day the guy Tommy Robinson. You familiar with Tommy Robinson?
Tommy Robinson, no.
Tommy Robinson is the British guy. He was the former leader of the EDL, I think it is, the English Defence League, maybe.
Okay.
I think he's the guy who is. I don't know if he's with Britain First.
Okay. That go in the neighborhoods and yell at everybody.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's him or if there's another guy like him that does the same thing. Yeah. But Tommy Robinson, I know, in the London Bridge attack, he was on the scene, I believe, giving an interview to people, and he was yelling at all the liberal media in this interview on the street, and he got a little notoriety for that. But solid dude has been touting for the longest amount of time, that Great Britain, it's losing its culture, it's losing its very identity because of the influx of the Muslim migrants.
Yeah.
And just recently he was on Piers Morgan's show, and Piers Morgan, I think, is we kicked him back to England, and I think his show is based there. And during the interview, Tommy Robinson has a Quran, and he's reading from the Quran, and he's saying, like, listen, this is what's in the book. So these people are following what's in the book, and we have to be able to have a conversation where we acknowledge this. And Piers Morgan goes on some fucking just, holier than now tirade about, how dare you. As soon as I hear one of these fucking journalists, how dare you, it's like, here we go.
Here we go.
Fucking ratings button. And he's talking about how dare you, disrespect these people, and the overwhelming majority of these people are peace-loving people, and and Tommy Robinson, is just, he's on task, so he's just reading, and he's not getting angry, but he makes sure he's not getting off point. And at one point, the woman, who I guess is Piers Morgan's co-host, is like trying to like shut Tommy Robinson up, like literally puts her hand out and says, "I need you to be quiet," at one point.
Wow.
Trying to talk over him. But, he keeps on sending it. And it was a great showing, I think, for him. But you also get to see exactly what the fucking issue is. We cannot even have a conversation, where these things are concerned. And that's the way the media wants to keep it. Another thing I saw is when you look at what's happening in South Africa, with the whites and the genocide that's being put upon the Afrikaner people, there is there's very much an organized effort to dispel the notion that it is occurring. Hiding statistics, like they no longer acknowledge the race of the victims of violence in South Africa and the like official statistics. And it's the same type of thing, the sort of media blackout, where we just try to ignore something right up until it can't be ignored. And then what you'll have, because there's such a ratings chase, you'll have a couple of individuals get to the point where they cannot any longer ignore it. So what they do is they try to sort of be the one who's spearheading the conversation. And their intentions are, they couldn't be more selfish. They couldn't be more narcissistic. Nobody's actually trying to help anybody. It's really just an effort to get the biggest and best ratings. And when you look at a lot of these news stations and a lot of these, the people who own the media groups, it does not help them to have the conversation move forward. Like, you try to find out, well, what's the incentive? Like, why would these people hide this? Well, there is an incentive, and the incentive is the more people come in breaking up the culture of these countries, the easier it is to convert these people to consumers. And it's a very financially driven interest. If everybody, around the country, has their culture and is proud of their culture and maintains the identity of their culture, well, that is a sort of a sort of perennial separation of the world's population, right? It's like an ongoing separate, format that keeps people from being lumped into one group. And anybody who has any financial interest in being a merchant on a large scale, it makes sense that they'd want to do away with that. It makes sense that they'd want to get rid of borders. They want to get rid of countries. They want to get rid of, cultures within localities or countries' cultures. They want to eliminate history. They want to, remove the story and just have us become, sort of like a family on a sitcom show where who knows how you got there? Who knows how they got there, how they became a family? It's just, the show starts and here we are in their living room. They want everybody to exist at that level of depth, when it comes to their identity. And so the financial, interest is, it's clear. It's easily understood, but when you have a number of Muslim attacks happening almost on a daily, if not a weekly basis, at what point, I'm waiting for everybody to snap. I'm waiting for, this whole notion. So today, I'll put this out. And in the morning email, I sent that, I was talking about, today is the summer solstice, right?
Yeah.
So the days are the longest right now. And, as a heathen, there's a whole, sort of story and tradition and culture that's intertwined with this event. And there are a lot of different ways to sort of honor the day, to participate in the rituals. But a lot of it has to do with, acknowledging that everything that the spring gave us is here and is currently flourishing. But we now begin our journey back to the winter, to the dark days of winter, and the 6-month journey, which culminates in the Yule, in the heathen, religion. The 12 days of Yule signify sort of the opposite end of this, where we turn it around the other way. But, looking at where we are right now, a very appropriate phrase is winter is coming, all right? And when we look at what the midsummer represents, it's an acknowledgement of everything that we have, an expressed gratitude for everything we have, but also an acknowledgement that we are now on our way back. And we need to do that because without the contrast, right? I've always said, create the contrast. Without the contrast of winter, we don't appreciate the summer. Without the contrast of the descent, we don't appreciate the ascent. And right now in society, we've, especially in, first world countries, Western civilization, we've enjoyed a success for a long amount of time. And I think, when I say winter is coming, it's exactly this process. We are now descending to the point where we need to experience the contrast of sort of reinvigorating our gratitude for what it is that we have. I think a lot of us in the first world, right, in Western society, we take for granted the things that we have. We take for granted, all the power that we have, all of the, the amenities of being citizens of these cultures that we have. And without this contrast occurring, we lose sight of just how gracious we should be, right? So when you have power or you have some sort of amenity without gratitude, we start to get into what entitlement is. And we always argue that there are a lot of people who are entitled these days. And, this is why that is. Because they don't appreciate the back and forth, the contrast, the cycle of life enough to realize that we need to work and earn what we have. And we need to appreciate it when it's here, but also be willing to invest our energy in reacquiring it after the fall, right? Yeah. And that's what I think a lot of people are going to have a lot of issues with. People think, they want it to be summer all year long, and they don't prepare for winter. And we all know, and me, my current obsession with the nature shows in Alaska, the majority of the summer is spent preparing for winter, And the thing is, when winter is here,
it's too late.
It's too late. What is the phrase? It's no time to in the heat of battle. It's no time to sharpen your axe. Something to that effect. Yeah, but the point is pretty simply understood.
Yeah, if you're unprepared and fuck. That's the point.
Right. Oh yeah. So Doug says it's all cyclical. Absolutely. He also said, I guarantee you that an Arab Muslim refugee would be allowed into Europe before any white Afrikaner. It's, and
white men, the devil.
White men are the devil. A former student of mine, I remember, I don't know if you were here this time, he and his wife were having trouble having children. And this guy, working guy, white guy, his wife, white wife, and having trouble conceiving, and were, contemplating, adoption, of which I'm very supportive of. And, he made this. Now, this guy's pretty trendy. He likes to stick with the trends, and he says, yeah, we're thinking about, dealing with this organization that helps you adopt kids from China.
Yep.
And were you there for that?
I wasn't physically there, but I was in the school, yes.
So
I remember this very clearly.
So I lost my shit. And I'm looking at him. I'm going, why the fuck would you adopt a kid from China? And he says, well, there's a lot of kids in China starving. And I said, well, that's China's fucking problem. Like, there are kids here that are starving. There are kids who look like you, who act like you, who sound like you, whose families are similar to your families, that you would be able to provide as seamless a transition to adulthood as possible.
Yeah.
Like, I don't, and it's beyond just a racial thing, but just the priority being placed on helping strangers as a virtue over helping members within your tribe.
Yeah.
It was fucking deplorable. And I remember, we had this long talk because I was trying not to, hurt his feelings. Right? But the absolute fucking absurdity of this virtue that's being added to help people as a priority who are not in your tribe. It's not how any of this fucking works.
No.
It's not how any of this works. Would you feed your neighbor's kid before your kid? Like, would you fix the block over from yours before you fix your block? Right?
Some of them would. That's the fucked up thing.
And this is where, we get into dysfunction, right? And pathology, this, and it gets to what we were talking about with the girls earlier with the rape. Like, they think that this is rape. So now they identify as victims, the PTSD people. They think, oh, wait a minute, like, I feel this way, so I must have this. I don't know if it was, I think it was Chris Rock who had this bit on these commercials, like these pharmaceutical commercials, or I think George Carlin was probably the original. And he says, during these commercials, they ask, are you hot? Are you cold? Are you
George Carlin.
Are you sleepy? Are you fat? Are you skinny? Are you angry? Are you happy? Are you always pissed off? Are you always elated? Like, and they go through all these different. And if this is the case, you need this.
Yep.
And people are watching it, going, "Oh my God, I have all those things. I need this pill." Well, these labels and the identity that's associated with the labels is very much, a product of that process nowadays. Nick Dean says it's the Kalargi plan, and the actual term is vicarious trauma. So I got to research that. I don't know what the fuck that is.
That's interesting. Living vicariously through someone, so you basically experience trauma that wasn't yours.
Right. You know what? I'm going to see. Hold on one sec. I'm going to send a message here.
Cool.
Hey, Nick, I'm going to send you a message right now. If you're around a computer, I'm going to send it to you via Facebook. Hold on. So check that out. All right. So, Sophia in the house. What's up, lady? All right. So, what else is going on? We talked about Bill Cosby.
Yep.
We complained about Islam. We'll probably revisit that over the next few hours.
First time we've ever talked about Islam, so it's kind of shocking.
I was actually talking about it before the show even started with somebody else. Not at all.
You saw there's a couple things that happened against Islam. You saw how quickly people reacted to that.
Say again?
Some alleged illegal immigrant fucking killed some.
Oh, yes, that fucking shitstorm. So
the British guy who ran him over. Yeah, that too.
So, okay. So you have this young lady, right, I think she was, 18, 19 years old? Do you remember?
Around there, yeah.
Right around there. Leaving, I guess, her mosque or community center.
To the mosque? I don't know.
It's Ramadan, so they keep weird hours, Muslims do, because they can't eat during the daylight. They fast during the daylight. So they have these pre-sunup, rituals where they eat whatever. And she was beaten with a bat and thrown in a lake or some shit. And the article that was describing it, very, 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 very persuasive and manipulative in the way it was written. Its headline read something to the effect of Muslim girl beaten by bat leaving mosque. Right? Yeah. So
something to that effect, yeah.
So the narrative, obviously, so I see that, and when I saw it was shared on my Facebook timeline by some fucking liberal retard that just does jujitsu. So he's on my friend list for some reason. And I get fucking the worst of both worlds. And so I click on it, my curiosity piqued, and I read the story, and I'm reading it, and I'm going, okay, well, what's the relevance of her being Muslim? What's the relevance of her having left the mosque? Is this a hate crime? Did somebody say, oh, look, a Muslim, and grab their bat and play fucking whack-a-mole because they just felt like doing that? Well, it turns out this story wasn't as, and there's more than just that story, but a related thing also. It turns out that, and when I read this wasn't information yet, and it's one of those things I wish I would have publicly said it because I would have looked really smart in front of everybody. But I said, there's no fucking way that some guy saw a bunch of Muslim girls and just said, hey, look, let me beat these Muslim chicks with a bat for no fucking reason other than they're Muslim. And she wore the hijab, whatever the fuck. So
by Nike.
Right. She had her Nike a la sweatsuit on. And it turns out that the guy who beat her was some South American illegal immigrant. And apparently there were words exchanged between the group and the guy. And it was basically a fucking road rage incident with some illegal immigrant.
Yep.
And obviously, and this is the thing. We have to obviously acknowledge, and I think it's necessary to acknowledge the absolute tragedy of this young girl getting murdered.
Of course.
We cannot, I don't mean to undervalue that at all. But there is a narrative at work here of a much broader picture, meaning a picture that affects everybody much more directly, and we can't ignore it. So aside from them putting out that, that fucking bullshit of, the implication, because the inference is made that this girl was beaten because she was a Muslim. Aside from just the irresponsibility of that narrative being put out, another thing I noticed in this article that I had written at first was there was a fundraiser, a GoFundMe, but not for GoFundMe. It was like a Muslim GoFundMe.
They have those?
Yeah. It's funny you should ask. Started a few years ago.
Donate goats?
By a American white guy who's a Muslim. He started this as a crowdsourcing, website for Muslims. And they raise money for all sorts of things, and what I noticed was for this family, there was something like $200,000 raised, which you think, the outpouring of emotional, people, they're going to donate. So, they're going to make a lot of money. We see this in other situations where, somebody basically, everybody feels bad for one person and there's a GoFundMe, so they make a shit ton of money. But what I noticed was on this campaign, how they have the goal?
Yeah.
That's set? The goal was $250,000. So you have this girl who was horrifically murdered. And it was deplorable, what happened. But then what occurs is a fundraiser is started, and it was $250,000 that the goal was. So what were the fucking intentions? You know what I'm saying?
I have no idea.
So then
It's a fucking expensive funeral. I said to pay for a funeral. It's an expensive funeral.
All right. We got my man Nick Dean here. Hold on one sec. What's up, brother? Can you hear us?
I can hear you. How am I?
All right. Not bad. Not bad. I want you to stand by. I'm going to finish this thought really quickly. Then I got a couple of things I wanted to ask you. So when you look at the person who organized, who started this website, this crowdfunding site, and I had all these tabs up, and you ever close a browser and you lose all your tabs? It's like, fuck, I had like 7 tabs open on this specific story. And but the founder who started the site, I did a little bit of research and found an interview with him talking about why he started that site. And one of the quotes that he had there, and I should have fucking copied it. One of the quotes was him saying that it was time for Muslims to once again lead society because they're the ones basically, we're the ones that have it right. And, it's time for us to be at the forefront of society again. So that's basically his motivation for starting this website. And you just see the pieces of the puzzle put together, played out. And, the narrative, like everything makes sense. So what winds up happening is you have a bunch of people who are now defending this because of their emotional connection to this girl being murdered. But we need to see it for what it is, which is a very, very well-designed and orchestrated fucking propaganda campaign, right? To give influence and credibility to people who would see us lose our rights and our liberty. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Big Nick, how you doing, my man?
Hey, doing good. Watching the master plan of the Muslims unfold is not so good.
Right. Exactly right. That's what it is, a fucking master plan. So now you wrote a couple things here that are pretty interesting. And where is it? I'm looking for it. I don't know. What were you just talking about? I'm looking through the fucking comments.
Well, I've been talking to
Kalargi, yeah.
about it. It's essentially a movement to kind of create just one race of people and allow, without being conspiracy, it's an actual thing, like create one kind of race of people that's an Afro-European Asian type person and have them be led by Jewish people, because he said they were spiritually more enlightened, and that some of those racial problems could be weeded out if the races all mixed up. And and so I've been researching it, and then Angela Merkel got an award by that society a couple years ago, and that was kind of interesting. So when we see about like all of this mass immigration, aside from the fact that the third world has collapsed because there's been such a brain drain, it makes sense why there would just be this push to but the other thing was talking about was vicarious trauma, and that was a separate. When people are, like, at least in the clinical world or in social work, in those types of environments, that's a term that says if you work with people that have been in those trauma situations, you start to assume that into yourself. So be aware of getting vicarious trauma.
That makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. And, obviously I'm somebody who's always pushing forth the narrative of staying in contact with the feedback loop of reality. And, whatever I think we hold as being virtuous is first and foremost functional. It's connected to an identity that actually works, that navigates its environment and its life successfully, effectively, efficiently. And I think that's why, that's one of my biggest arguments for staying connected to a natural life. And I think today, in today's day and age, the aquariums are becoming so pronounced that people are starting to lose sight of what is actually functional. It's no longer, it's sort of evolved past the point of malicious intent. You actually have people that just have dysfunctional identities. And you see it in, and I'm reminded of this by the description of what vicarious trauma is. You have these people who legitimately feel, whether it's a woman who is being told by third parties that she was raped, so she goes, "Oh, well, I guess I was raped," to the phenomenon in the military where the majority of people who are getting PTSD benefits were not in combat, and that should be sort of like a no-brainer. Like, how did we get here? How did we get to the point where we're actually giving people benefits for receiving something that was looked at throughout history as, there's always been these labels of fucking battle fatigue and, shell-shocked. And there are all these different ways to describe just the trauma that's put upon somebody who's in battle. How did these benefits and this identity spill over to people who weren't even in those situations to begin with? And it just speaks to the lack of connection to the actual reality that we all exist in, and how we're so easily, duped, manipulated, led astray, because we don't seek out that relationship with reality, and we're all too eager to just be spoon-fed, from third parties how we're supposed to think,
You can see that everywhere. Something I became aware of is the difference between like a social worker and a counselor. And essentially, like what a social worker does is does all the logistics work to connect people with resources. So what social workers, I think, they serve a good purpose. Many of them will go out and work really hard for people that need to know how to work for themselves. And so people will be sitting at home and they won't go anywhere. The social worker will come in and write down all the needs and then go out and try to connect all the resources to get them money, enables them to keep staying home. And you see this on a mass scale where once just they're, whether it's a welfare to an extent or whatever it is, they're not human beings, just consumers. And they'll go and buy large that can hit the pause button, ask them the right questions so that they can introspect and start to solve their own problems. Because there are formulas. There are cognitive change, internal change formulas of very specific ways to ask questions which promote intrinsic motivation. Instead of one is just like asking open-ended questions. If I said, don't you want to be strong? Yeah, well. And then whenever people ask those questions and they just answer yes, they're telling the person's hearing what they want to hear, and then they leave and nothing gets changed. As opposed to, well, what's stopping you from getting up and going outside looking for a job? And then to start to pick through that stuff. So, their term, a massive amount of population that has been enabled or disabled because society has looked at them as you're this much of a victim or you're this much of a victim. And it has to implode. I don't know how it can keep going. It's going to implode if it hasn't already.
Right, absolutely. So, Nick, I'm going to let you go. Your audio is breaking in and out. Luckily, the little sound bites that we're making it through gave us a complete picture of your idea. But I appreciate you jumping on. It's one of the great things about this fucking technology is that, hey, when somebody wants to jump on, just send you a link and you're hanging out with us. So I appreciate the time. And also, I just wanted to extend another, thank you to you for doing the interview on the Pressure Project. It was a great talk to have, and it's been well received so far today.
Cool. All right, Pat. Thanks, MC.
All right, brother, man. Yeah, it's one of those things, man. Like fucking, I'm so spoiled because I'm just sending somebody this message in this imaginary reality called the internet, and they're appearing in there, and I'm still not satisfied. But whatever.
Yeah, so far the secondary call-in hasn't been 100%.
Right.
Split screen from somebody else. So far, they got to fix that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The Facebook call, though, is okay, so that could always be a thing, too.
All right, let's Rockstar. Rockstar has a question.
I don't know if that's a question, though. If you read it, it's not a question.
All right. Quick question. And then he writes a book. Now we really have to talk to Rockstar about his use of commas, because he is just like, it's like Brewster's Millions. He's got like 1 million commas he has to use a day.
Or exclamation points.
Or he loses them all. Quick question. If I'm driving and a white dude makes a driving mistake and I angrily yell at him, calling him a cracker, which leads to a physical altercation in which I punch him in the face, I would probably get arrested. Yeah, it's called assault, right? Like, I don't understand if there is a question there.
Yeah, where's the question?
Maybe he just wanted to share a realization he came to. Like, it was the picture of the black guy. He's like,
That's fun.
oh my God.
Now, would you be arrested for a hate crime? That's a question.
Right.
You said cracker.
Right.
Is that a hate crime now?
It's just magical words.
It is. Yeah.
You know, there is and that's the thing, when you don't have any obligation to stay married to reality, which is completely an objective, force, and you become an emotional sort of designer of systems, meaning you design systems that cater to emotion rather than function, you cannot help but to contradict these systems' interactions. Like what do you do? Like, what happens if a drunk Muslim woman gets raped by a Muslim man in a Muslim community, but in America? So if she was raped because she was drunk because she can't give consent, maybe the guy gets charged with rape. But maybe because she was drunk, the Muslims hold her accountable.
She's not supposed to drink.
She's been drinking. So what winds up happening is you have all of these ideas of what is just, completely stepping on each other's toes and being completely incompatible with one another, because function doesn't play a role in their design. So the whole thing with hate crimes and hate speech, and you should be able to call somebody a nigger, a spick, a cracker, a honky, a fucking chink, kike, a wop, like a moon cricket. It's Pat's favorite, moon cricket. They're just fucking words.
Just words. I don't know, though. When someone calls me cracker, though, it really burns my biscuits.
We give these words this fucking magical power that does not exist. Go in the woods and call a black bear a nigger.
Man.
He doesn't even speak English. I'm being ridiculous, but it's one of the most frustrating things I have to deal with nowadays, where, you have people who just give magical powers to these fucking sounds that come out of people's faces. An argument against it people try to make is, but these words represent a connection. Represent, that's a code word for imaginary, by the way.
It is.
Right? We draw the representation and the associations. We create these things. If I hit you over the head with this fucking axe, it's going to hurt. And it's not going to matter what color it is, what you call it, what it calls you. There is a real world occurrence, when you get hit with that axe in your head. There's no magic involved. But we so the whole thing is you want to live a life where you're not getting hit by an axe, because that's a real world consequence.
It is.
But we're creating these fucking tripwires and landmines with magical words that prevent us from functioning. You go, and if you tell a lady in corporate America that she's attractive, you get charged with sexual harassment. Meanwhile, how many people, my parents, we're not talking about inappropriate. My father met my mother. He was interviewing her for a job. Like, he was the boss. She came in for an interview.
He just didn't know which job.
He said, I really liked her skirt. I was like, this is like, I wouldn't be here if these are the rules that were in place back in the day, you know? But this is the just dysfunctional, just ridiculousness that, you know, that we're subjected to these days, you know?
We jumped too soon, though. It was a two-part question.
Say again?
I said we jumped the gun too soon. It's a two-part question. Angel put the second half up.
Did he?
Yeah.
You know what? This comment feed doesn't update as much as it should.
He says, now if the same thing occurs, that the white dude calls me a nigger or a spick, do you think he would be deemed a prejudiced attacker with malicious intent?
Well, I think if it can be proven that he called you a nigger or a spick or a nigger spick.
Spigger. Spigger. I think Spigger is the actual technical.
Spigger? It's not a nick. Yeah,
nick. It's a thing. I don't know.
Spigger. But if it can be proven, like, there are laws, like, on the books that can be used to prosecute you. And it's fucking retarded. It is completely fucking retarded. You know, having this, you know, the hate speech, you know, like, people, and it's one of the, like, people think that it helps. They have good intentions, or they have positive intentions, you know. Not good intentions works, because they want it to help. They want it to improve the way we live. But it's just not the way that it fucking happens. You know, if you think about, like, let's say I wanted to create a machine that would prevent you from ever tearing your knees again. Okay. You know, it's called a wheelchair, right? So you sit in a wheelchair, you will never tear your ACL again. It's like ACL tears is a terrible thing. So we have to combat against it. What are we going to do? We're going to put everybody in wheelchairs now, and we're going to completely eliminate ACL tears. The juice isn't worth the squeeze, obviously. And very similarly, you know, these hate speech crimes are wheelchairs that we're putting people in. Yep. We are making them weaker because we think somehow that, you know, calming the sea is the way to go, not building stronger boats. Like, you think about the people that came to this country, you know, over 100 years ago with absolutely nothing. You know, do you think they really gave a fuck about the magical words that people were throwing at them? They had to worry about eating. They had to worry, like, think about it. We have, you know, fat, poor people in this country.
Yeah.
So you could be at the poverty level and be overweight and have a smartphone and have a car and have a television, right? That is the state of affairs nowadays. So what is actually a priority and what's important is completely fucking skewed, because the sort of survival mechanisms, right? The things that you have to get, right? Food, water, and shelter, right? These things are covered in excess. You know, you're not starving nowadays.
Yeah.
So we have this, you know, this slack in our, you know, the pressure of our lives, that everybody sort of infuses their imagination, and you wind up coming up with these ideas just because you got nothing better to fucking do. You know, one of the things I love about the Life Below Zero, my show on Netflix, you know, they wake up in the morning and they have to work. There's no time to argue on the internet. There's no time to talk about, you know, what words offend them and stuff. Like, they got shit to do. They got to fish. They got to hunt. They got to chop wood. They got to fucking shovel snow. They got, like, there are things that they functionally have to do because it's part of their survival. And because their time is by necessity completely invested in what matters, they don't have all this extra time to just think up ways to fucking create other issues.
Yeah, think of ways to be upset.
Right. And that's the, you know, the most frustrating thing. Goose says, only white people can be racist, so you're good to go, Rockstar. These are all guys, by the way, that these are all my students in the Jungle Gym. We have a lot of fun, and a lot of good talks on these topics. All right, so how about we get to the man codes?
Let's do it.
Da, da, da.
Man codes are fucking solid.
Did I type them out last time? I did, right?
You did. There was a debate that you had with yourself, and then you said, fuck it, I'm going to type them out.
Wow, I'm about to go through the same thing right now.
Yep.
At least I'm consistent. My memory's shit, but at least I'm consistent.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm not writing them down because some of these fucking things are long this week.
Who gives a fuck? They're good. Either way, it's good for me. I'm good.
Oh, I'll tell you what, this is what I'm going to do. Man codes. There we go. So people will know we're going over the man codes now. So this is going to be a recurring segment, right? Segment.
Little guy can write them in the notes.
Yeah, little guy, write them in the notes. Little guy, you're listening, write them in the notes. So what we decided to do, and by we, I mean me, every show on Wednesday, we're going to add man codes to the list. So last week we did our first 10, and I have another 10 for today. I sit down at some point during the week and I just say, okay, let me think of some man codes. And I came up with 10, and some weeks there might be one, some weeks, who knows, there might be fucking 30 of them. I don't know. But we have 10 on the books, and this will bring the list to 20. And I'm actually curious to see how many we're going to wind up having, a few months from now. So with that being said, number 11, I really want to type it on the screen, but I'm not going to. I'm like, number 11. I'm going to do it this way. Watch this. Hold on, stand by.
I'm ready.
Bam. I'll do it that way. That's the compromise.
That's cool.
So people will know when they're looking, because that's what I'm always worried about, the people.
The visual.
The visual, right. So, man code 11. You can't see everything, so you can't know everything. You can't see everything, so you can't know everything. So one of the things we've revisited, over and over again, recently a lot, is the limits, acknowledging the limits of our perception of the world. It's one of the many arguments for tribe. It's one of the reasons, I promote, or one of the ways that I promote the value of the Warrior Project. We as an individual can't see everything that's around us. So being that we can't see everything that's around us, we automatically know that the logical progression is, well, we can't know everything. Being that we can't know everything, it means that there are going to be things that other people know that we don't.
Yep.
The very logical, orderly progression of thought. We can't see everything, so we can't know everything, so other people are going to know things that we don't. But if we want to increase our power, if we want to increase the development of our personal power, right, which is an easier way to say the first thing I just said. I don't want to be power. Oh, develop my personal power. Yeah, that's what I want to do. Same fucking thing. You get the picture. But if we are motivated, committed, obligated to increasing the development of our personal power, I would then ask, given everything that we've said up to this point, do you have a process by which you can build an alliance to have power given to you, or have the roadmap to power given to you by another person? So the reason I bring this up is you have people that, he's a know-it-all, right? He has all the answers. He fucking knows everything. And, when we label people that way, what we're really saying is, I don't want to help him. He needs help. I know he needs help. He probably knows he needs help, but he wants to act like, he doesn't fucking need anybody. He doesn't need any help. So fuck him. Yep. And that is why this man code is so important. We have to acknowledge we don't know everything. We have to acknowledge that if that's the case, then we need to have a process installed in who we are to allow that information to flow freely. If we are somebody that has all the answers, we become somebody who stops asking questions, right? And we know that that's never going to occur. So this man code speaks to a need for us individually to have that process by which we could sort of accept the wisdom of others, graciously, so that they don't get to the point where they're like, you know what, he knows everything. Yeah, that's right. You know everything. You have all the answers. Because then what winds up happening is you're by yourself. You're on your own. And that's not a powerful place to be, right? So we have now, Man Code 12.
Man Code 12.
Why don't you read this one?
Okay, so let me bring up the screen that I have them because I am on the Facebook
feed. A test, fucking slacker.
I'm on the Facebook feed. Okay, so 12. You can survive without tribe, but survival isn't why we're here.
Right. So one of the things that I hear constantly from people is, I'm a loner.
I'm a loner, Dottie, a rebel.
I don't need anybody. I'm independent.
Hashtag did it all myself.
Right. The thing is, an argument for being able to exist by yourself is not an argument for its virtue. It's not an argument for a solitary life's value. Just survive is not why we're here. As a species, we could think of it that way, or illustrate it in that application. If the only thing every person on this planet did was go off, let's say it was even physically possible, go off on their own and survive, well, what exactly does that mean? If I said, what would you say? Somebody says, well, I don't need anybody, I could survive on my own. What do you think that means, Pat?
That they want to die alone.
Well, it doesn't take long before we get to that. So what you're saying is you don't need anybody to live until you die because you're going to fucking die.
Alone.
The whole point of this is just taking that day where you die and putting it as far in the future as possible. Well, in the grand scheme of things, what the fuck is the point?
Yeah.
The whole thing is, and by the way, if everybody did that, went off on their own and survived on their own, it would be, valued by who? I don't know, because all I know, in one generation, we're dead, right? Yeah. We're extinct. So if everybody had this mindset that I'm going to be by myself and I don't need anybody and I'm independent, what winds up happening is you wind up having the negative birth rate. You wind up having more people die than are being born. And it doesn't take, a fucking degree in whatever the fuck you get a degree in where that's concerned, to figure out that it's not a formula for success. So having this notion that, I could survive without tribe. I don't need anybody. Well, survival is not why you're here. We're here to thrive. We're here to expand, to grow, to become more powerful. I am of the mindset and belief that we will, probably sooner rather than later, extend beyond the planet Earth. Go and explore the universe and set up shop in other places in our solar system, develop means for travel that allow us to get beyond where we can even conceptualize, traveling to nowadays. I think that there are accomplishments and abilities that we will one day have as a species that right now we can't even conceptualize,
Yeah, 100%.
Except maybe through sci-fi and whatnot.
You ever seen the movie Children of Men?
I actually believe I read the book.
The one with Clive Owen where no one's having kids anymore.
And like one young lady
is pregnant. Yeah,
right.
hasn't been a birth in like 20 years. And one of the things that says the youngest man on Earth just died. So like the youngest kid on Earth, who was like 20, just recently died, and like people were fucking like, you know, it was a big deal. And now, yeah, they're not having kids anymore, and shit's all kinds of fucked up.
Right, and that's the thing. So to say that, we're here to survive, I could survive on my own. Well, survival is not why we're here, and there's also a certain point, and for some people this is more difficult than others. If you are somebody who says, well, I don't care, I don't want kids, I don't want a tribe, I don't want to do my own thing. Well, you're dysfunctional.
Yeah.
That's, you are dysfunctional. If everybody was like you, we'd be worse off. And it's not a comfortable way to be, but the good thing is we could change, we could absolutely change. Jim Rohn had a great saying. He said, you don't like your life, move. You're not a tree. Right? And,
yeah, it's true.
And sometimes it's in your mindset that we need to move. We need to shift. But
the funny thing is, the people who say they don't want to have kids and they don't want to do that, the only reason they survive is because of everyone else.
Right.
In another society in a different time, they wouldn't live. They wouldn't last. They wouldn't be able to say those things. They're privileged because of that. Other people have put in the work, and they're reaping the benefits, and they have no respect for that.
A strong legacy and a good death.
Yep.
All else is emotion and fanfare.
Someone said that. It's pretty good. Pretty solid.
Pretty solid.
Hold on, before we go into the next one. I saw someone share the fucking words could hurt you meme again.
Oh, man.
But it was Augustus. We got to let him know that he's got to share the right meme.
Oh, man, I stopped being frustrated over that because everybody, like, I will, the one positive I took out of it, and for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, how does it feel to be so weak that mere words hurt you? I'm the one that came up with that meme.
Yeah,
right? It was my face making a stupid face, and then somebody put the saying on a Viking picture. So the one positive thing is that, okay, I was connected to the Vikings. So that's the one win I have,
Pretty cool.
All right, they thought enough of me as in that warrior archetype that that's the way they went with it. They didn't put like some old fucking like Jewish banker, something like that, So it's a good thing. But that's my fucking meme, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
So let's move on.
Check.
Man code number 13.
This is my favorite one, I think, for the day.
If you're a whore, at least get paid. If you're a whore, at least get paid. So if we think about what a whore is, right? A whore is somebody who, I would say, in as general a sense as possible, somebody who exchanges their virtue, their integrity, the scarcity of their alliance for no other reason than the company of another person. The interaction is the only payment that they want. It's like, I'm going to make you breakfast. Well, how much is it? No, just being in a room with you while I'm making you eat it is good enough for me. It's like, if you're a whore, at least get paid. So when we apply this to our lives, obviously I'm not just talking about sex.
Yeah.
Just talking about sex.
Not just.
If you are, exchanging your alliance for nothing more than the interaction itself, this is how you lose your resources. This is a one-way relationship. Meaning, if you don't have a tribe to invest in, make sure you at least barter for your resources. Because having a formula that has you give them away for nothing leaves you with nothing.
Yeah.
And not only do you sabotage your own ability to maintain your identity, but you also become unappealing to would-be alliances. It's what's the phrase? Make a whore a housewife. Like there's things that we know you don't do.
Yeah.
Take the neighborhood slut and marry her.
Not the best formula.
Not the best formula. And fucking fly. And one of the things that that people don't understand is, anybody could change. Anybody could invest in new rituals, creating a new identity, opening themselves up and attracting different alliances for a different life. But it comes with following the laws of the universe, or as we like to say, the man codes.
Yeah.
So next one.
Next one
is number 14.
14.
Why don't you read this one?
Cool. Being honest is a superpower. It's not meant for the weak.
So imagine you walk through life and you never have to lie. Now, even that is kind of weak. I just said it that way. You never have to lie. So I'm already saying, well, sometimes you have to lie.
Yeah.
Let's just say that you never lie, and you also achieve the development of your personal power. You are the most powerful version of yourself, or well on the way to becoming the most powerful version of yourself, and you never have to lie. You cannot be weak and pull that off. So I don't know if it was Two on Tom who said this one thing about forgiveness. Like, you have to be, I don't know if it was forgiveness. For some reason I think it was something else. But he was saying it's only for the strong. You can't be weak and be honest all the time.
Yeah.
Because manipulation becomes a coping mechanism. Prey animals develop camouflage, right? The fucking pufferfish, right? He turns into this big, scary-looking thing when he's threatened to give the impression that he's about that life, but really not. So if you're somebody who and this is an argument for developing power, developing strength. Like, why should we look to pressure ourselves? Why should we look to go through all this trouble, to put ourselves through all this adversity to develop who we are? Well, even something as simple and seemingly benign as being truthful is only for the strong. If you are weak, if you are fragile, if you are vulnerable to the least significant of stressors, you have to start using dishonesty and manipulation as a survival mechanism, because you cannot let all of those predatory stressors and forces in your life know how weak you are, So there you go. Once again, being honest is a superpower. It's not meant for the weak.
Yes.
Next one. We are on 15, right?
15.
And code 15. Giving a loser money just increases a losing budget. Okay? So there's a guy, I don't know if it was John Calton, who said that having money will solve all the problems that not having money creates. And too often we conflate our problems and don't make the distinction between problems that not having money creates and problems that would be here no matter what, your budget was. And, you have so many people like nowadays, because money is such a distraction in the aquarium, right? Because it's like we're all playing Monopoly, right? We need that money.
Yeah.
We lose sight of the fact that there are things that are important and significant that we need, and there are things that are completely trivial. They're only, the rules of the game because we agree to play the game in the first place. There are people that are walking around and, you'll see weak individuals, weak subcultures, where everything in their language and their identity is related to the accumulation of wealth. It's not that, being motivated to increase your wealth is a bad thing inherently, but when it takes over, your system of virtue, it's dysfunctional. The easy way to look at it is, you look at people that are rich.
Yeah.
Look at the people that are super wealthy. Are you going to say that these people don't have problems? How many stars? I just clicked on one of those clickbait articles. They get me every once in a while. The people who, the celebrities who died young, killed themselves. Celebrities who killed themselves. And,
I click on those things too.
Yeah, I can't help myself. And, I'm looking at it, and here are people who are on top of the world according to all of the trivial systems of virtue.
Yeah.
Everybody who says, oh, it's all about money, accumulation of this and that and the other thing. Well, these people had all of that. Why are they so unhappy? Why do so many celebrities get divorced? Why are so many of them on drugs? Why are so many of them dysfunctional? Why when you talk to them, they're just not real people? And not all of them, obviously.
Not all. Most.
But, right. I mean, yeah, most, I would say. But, one of the things it speaks to us about is the fact that the accumulation of wealth, of trinkets, does not cure a dysfunctional mind, does not cure a dysfunctional identity. If you are a loser and I give you money, chances are I'm just increasing the budget of your loss.
Yeah.
It's like if you're a guy that puts everything on the roulette table, right? You put $100 on the roulette table, and you lose. Well, I don't help you by making that $100 $1,000, by $10,000. Like, I don't help you that way, right?
No.
And it's easier said than done. There are a lot of people who are poor as shit, who every day interact with people that don't have the financial issues they do, and they become, jaded. They become distracted, But I would say that it's the onus is on us to constantly reassess what our values are, and by all means, like, listen, I have a wife and 4 kids. I need to make money to feed them. But if I am keeping up with the Joneses, so to speak, and I'm looking to have a big fancy car and, go on big fancy vacations and have all my jewelry.
My jewelry.
You
must be the king.
You must be the king. What is it that I'm adding to the experience of my children's, my wife's, or my life? There is no value to that. On the show, my show, Life Below Zero, one of the husbands on the show says, some of the things we do to make money, because there's some things we could only get with money, but if we don't, if we could barter for it, or if we can do it ourselves, that's what we do. And I remember this that one character, or that one man on the show, he was talking about teaching these skills of survival in the Arctic to his daughters. And one of the things that he said was, if the economy ever falls or society collapses, I feel comfortable knowing that they can come back here and survive.
Yeah.
And there's power in that. There's power in being connected to things that actually matter. In this day and age of fiat currency and banking scandals and, tax, fucking just
Ponzi.
If there's ever an argument for evil, it's the IRS, right? They're inherently designed to destroy people's lives. But the whole thing is, in this day and age, it's all a distraction. Any one of you can go and, get his crew and move to the woods and wake up every day and work till the sun goes down. And you'll be all right. It's how we got here. But we've lost sight of that so much that you actually get people jumping off of buildings because they've lost piles of money, and it's weak, You know what
I have here?
What's that?
These are the Glengarry leads. You don't get them. Because giving them to you, I'd just be throwing them away.
That's right. Coffee is for closers.
Yep.
All right. Next man code.
Next one. 16.
16. If your son is weaker than you, you have failed.
Solid.
So, you ever see that movie, The Great Santini?
Great Santini, yep. You reference it a lot.
Right, and who is it? James Caan? Does he play the dad?
No, I don't know. I'll look it up.
Not James Caan. Who's the guy that played the consigliere in The Godfather? Tom Hagen. Who the fuck
Tom Hagen is...
What's the actor's name? Come on, you.
Robert Duvall.
Robert Duvall. Robert Duvall was the Great Santini. He was
Robert Duvall, Great Santini, 1979.
So he was the dad, and the gist of it was this dad was so fucking competitive with his son, so sort of just domineering that he wound up creating a situation that we see played out all the time in our lives. You see, and it wasn't until I started SIOC and Two on Tom and Two on Raf introduced me to the subtleties of the different feeder formulas that I really started to understand how these things were articulated and how these formulas actually work. And one of the things about a level 1 feeder, and this is all SIOC technology, we call the level 1 feeder a tyrant. And they only know how to act tyrannical in feeding and controlling, the different aspects of their life. And when it comes to children, if you are a tyrant with your children, the opposite of feeder is receiver. And if you are a tyrant, the only people that could be around you are receivers. A tyrant will find a receiver wife. A tyrant will raise receiver children. And when you are a tyrant and you are creating these receiver children, you are so disconnected from what's happening. You wind up getting more and more frustrated with your receiver son, and you just wind up acting more tyrannically. That's a word, right?
Yeah.
But the whole thing is, in a general sense, without going down the rabbit hole of that any further, our job is to increase our power. If I start with a premise that the only things that matter to me in life are a strong legacy and a good death, well, a legacy is sort of the waves in the ocean that the splash of my existence creates. If that is to be represented by the next generation of my children, why would I ever want anything other than them to have more power than I do?
Yeah.
So the conversations I have with my sons all the time is, is daddy strong? Yeah, daddy's strong. Are you strong? Yeah, you're strong. Are you going to be stronger than daddy one day? Oh, I don't know. Of course you are. You're going to be much stronger than me. One day you're going to be so strong that you're going to have to protect me. When you get that strong, are you going to help protect me? Yes, Daddy. Well, this is, and I told you, Strong Dad, Strong Son, the series that I did for the Warrior Project, I touch on this a lot. It's making sure that your children understand that they have as much room to grow as they want. It's being the mentor, being the guide, certainly representing the boundary of what's acceptable, but I'm never going to say being their friend, having them understand that the expectations and the standards exceed your current level of development should be the goal. It should be the goal,
100%.
All right, so let's go to the next one.
17.
Man code 17. Being happy all the time makes being happy worthless.
Yep.
We just spoke earlier about, today's, midsummer, the summer solstice in Odinism or Asatru or whatever you wanted to label it. There is a celebration of everything that we have and an acknowledgement of what we are returning to, and the contrast, the cyclical nature of life, and as represented in the seasons. And I would say when it comes to happiness, if you're somebody who thinks they're always supposed to be happy, well, what is the actual value of something that's an endless supply? It's basic economics, basic logic, really.
Yeah.
If there's a never-ending supply, it's not really worth much. When I look at people who are on drugs or people who are addicted to the legal drugs, alcohol and the pills and all the things, I'm allowed to buy this, and the doctor gave me a prescription, and it's like, motherfucker, you know what you're doing. When people are addicted to these things, it's almost as if, and I see this all the time, certainly not, a universal where these people are concerned, but a common theme in how they see themselves. They see themselves as somebody that's supposed to be happy all the time. And those times where they're stressed and anxious and they have, that discomfort created by, the pressures of their lives, they don't embrace that part of the journey. They never want to see a winter. They never want it to be dark out. And the thing is, it gets back to what I said. You want to make sure you never tear your ACL? Put yourself in a wheelchair.
Yep,
wheel yourself around the rest of your life. And what happens is you wind up never having an ACL tear, but you don't have the benefit and the power of being somebody who walks. And eventually you will lose the power to do those things because the universe, moves towards chaos. Our bodies operate on a use it or lose it, type of law.
Like Wally. Remember Wally?
Yeah.
Big fat people just float around in
fat
chairs.
guys, levitation. Yeah, absolutely. And so if you're somebody that, thinks, I always want to be happy, well, what is the value of being happy then? All right? If everybody's my brother, what's the value of being your brother?
Nothing.
If it's always sunny out, what's the value of looking at the sun? It's the contrast that allows us to appreciate things. I find it curious that one of the best therapies for an ailing body are contrast baths, right? Or contrast showers where, you're getting really hot water for 5-10 minutes and then getting cold water for 5-10 minutes and do it over and over again. Contrast is not only a very natural idea, a very natural concept, but I think it's inherent in any system of progress. How do we become more? How do we develop more? Well, we do the thing until it hurts, because that pain that we experience makes us stronger, which allows us to overcome that pain that we're currently experiencing, entering into a new level of comfort until we experience the discomfort again, and we constantly overcome that discomfort. And that is how progress is made. That's how progress is done. Doug asked, what's the value of life if it doesn't end? And, I've said that before too. It's funny because my children have asked me, they're always asking me these cool little questions, which is great for me because I know like they're thinking, and Kaizen, my now 7-year-old, maybe a year or so ago, comes up to me and goes, Daddy, would you rather be invulnerable to damage or live forever? So I said, okay, so I can't get hurt, but I still live, I get old and I die, or I live forever, but I could die if I get hurt. Like, which is it? Is it invulnerable with immortality or just immortality? So it was, the prior, it was You can't be hurt, but you get old and you die, or you live forever as long as you don't ruin your body, basically. And I said, definitely invulnerable for the rest of my life. And obviously the follow-up is, why wouldn't you want to live forever? And I said, if I live forever, then what's the value of any of these moments?
Yeah.
If I live forever, these moments would occur an infinite number of times, theoretically. Why would I add value to one over the other? And how do we know what good times are if we don't have the bad times? So it was a vehicle for me to describe and explain, this very concept, But people who, think they're always supposed to be happy, it's so what? I just yelled, I taught last night, so in other words, I yelled, right? Because I'm always yelling at people when I'm teaching. And I was yelling at somebody who sat on the side in between rounds, and it was a blitz class. And this person was a young man of stellar physical conditioning, but just a little tired, just a little uncomfortable, and decided to sit down. And I looked at him, I said, what are you sitting on the side for? And I'm just tired. You don't fucking think everybody's tired? He went and got a partner, and he trained, and he was fine,
Yeah.
And the whole thing is, why is it that you think you're only supposed to operate when you're comfortable? How the fuck, I made the meme the other day where, paraphrasing myself, which I tend to do, I said, somebody who lives a life, where adversity isn't a component of who they are, the mediocrity that their life is reduced to, it's much worse than the pressure of any adversity that they would, take on. And I remember the description or the comment that I put, the caption that I put with the meme was, put weight on the bar. If you go to the gym and you lift the fucking bar over and over again, everybody looks at you like you're a fucking idiot. But what are you doing if not ensuring your comfort, ensuring your success?
Yep.
If you never fail with the weight when you're lifting weights, that means you are not working. You want the big muscles, you want the big strength, you got to lift the big fucking weights. And that process is not one that is only comfort. Whenever you get a PR, and I don't mean Puerto Rican because we're good with Angel, but whenever you get a PR, that represents the first time you didn't fail with that weight, right? You appreciate it. If you're somebody who's gotten stuck with, let's say, 405 with a deadlift, and it looks like you're fucking trying to pick up a building every time you do it. Might as well be fucking 4 million pounds, right?
Might as well be on the
enough. And then one day you fucking pick it up off the floor. The memory, the contrast that was created by all those failed attempts is what adds to the experience of that accomplishment. But if you went, let's say you're Superman, right? Super strength, and you could fucking lift anything. You deadlift 100 pounds. You lift 1,000 pounds. You lift like you've never failed. Nobody's like, oh man, what a great sense of accomplishment.
Yeah.
Because the contrast isn't there. So, being happy all the time makes being happy worthless.
So the gods envy us because we will never be here again.
That's right. What's that from, Troy?
Yeah, Achilles.
18.
18.
This is a good one.
Yeah.
Said the guy who wrote all of them.
I concur. It is good.
18. Your wife's most important job is to remind you you're a man. A lot of things there. A lot of things
to unpack.
Your wife's most important job. So obviously I'm talking to a guy, right? And I'm saying you have a wife, right? You don't have a husband. Can't talk about lesbians because I'm saying remind you you're a man. So it's got to be I'm talking to a man who's married to a wife, a woman.
Yep.
Not a wife with a penis. You see how confusing shit gets now?
Or not.
Right. And so her most important job, which means, number one, she has many jobs. She has many obligations. This is more important than the other ones, which adds, priority to it. So the statement is saying a lot of things. Your wife's most important job is to remind you you're a man. So we're saying that being a man is something that you should know. When you are not acting like a man, there should be a mechanism by which you are reminded. Your wife being a major one. It is in her best interest that you act like a man. That's why it's her most important job. This doesn't speak to a difference in power between the two of you, a difference of significance. It doesn't try to create some just imaginary abstract equality or sabotage any abstract equality or notion of equality. It's nothing to do with any of that. It's part of your teammate's job on the team of your marriage is to make sure you are a good teammate also. That's what this speaks to. It means when you're fucking up, you should be reminded you're fucking up. It means when you're doing something well, you should be reminded you're doing something well. It's hard to be in a relationship with somebody who doesn't understand the power of the synergy of the alliance that you have. Like, why are you even married in the first place if you are not trying to create more together than the total of what the two of you can achieve individually, by yourselves? And that last statement I made goes towards either of you, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes to your wife's most important job, it's to remind you you're a man. Another way to look at what this means is when you have a woman, a wife, who is expecting you to not be a man, who is treating you like less than a man, it is your job to defend the standard of your masculinity. I have, in this business here, I can't fucking even remember all the times that I've had a father in here with his son. And he wants his son to stop getting bullied or to lose weight or to stop being a little pussy or whatever the case is. And he has the son try out class. Son loves it. He loves it. He knows that the problem he has, we will help him solve. All that's squared away. But then the wife, the mother, puts the kibosh on it.
Yep.
And she says, I don't want him fighting. He should do something else. How come we have to choose something you're picking for him? A whole slew of reasons where I want to tell the guy, my advice, tell her to shut the fuck up and mind her fucking business. You are helping fix your fucking son, which is your job, not hers.
Yeah, 100%.
I'll be out of fucking business. So I got to say, hey, just bring her in. Let's show her the value, the positive benefits of this program and how we're going to help little Johnny. Stop being a little faggot.
You fucked up a long time ago.
Fucked up a long time ago, bro. So there are real world consequences for these men who act like less than men. And they let their wives get away with it because your wife doesn't break you. Your wife doesn't, she doesn't let me act like a man. Like, she doesn't have that power. You've agreed to the parameters of this relationship.
Gotta ask the boss.
That's right. Oh, gotta go home and ask the boss. Your boss? Your wife's your fucking boss? What are you, kidding me? I don't know. But your wife's most important job is to remind you you're a man. The great thing is that when you do have a wife who is in line with this, in sync with this, very rarely will that even be a factor in your relationship. Because she's reminding you of what she expects from her man. You are in touch with what being a man is. You aspire to that type of behavior. She, in turn, is appreciative that she's married a man. This whole, women love a bad boy. Women don't love a bad boy. Women love a fucking man. And if they're with a faggot, then yeah, that bad boy looks like more of a man in contrast and comparison to this little fucking buttercup she's hanging out with. Right? Makes sense. So that was 18.
Yep.
And Nick Gibson says her second job is to make me a sandwich. Very original, Nick. All right, number 19.
19.
Loyalty belongs to mission first, people second. I'm a good friend. I would never leave my friend. I always got my friend's back. Okay, your friend is about to go and rape little babies.
Now what?
You down with that?
Yeah, because my friend.
Okay, so there is a line somewhere. There's a line where I always got my friend's back, and hell fucking no, that motherfucker's crazy. That line exists. So obviously I paint an extreme picture, and everybody's like, whoa. Right, so now we have to sort of de-escalate a little bit and find out exactly, where that line is. When you're loyal to the mission, what winds up happening is that the direction that your compass is leading you in is not subjected to the emotional whims of men. If I am on mission, it means that I am pursuing the life or path that best includes the virtues that make up what I'm all about. Nietzsche said, become who you are. When we look at what our lives are and the sort of discomfort that we have, with the conditions of not only our surroundings, but us as individuals, we know that we're probably a little out of sync with who we should actually be. And anything that we do should be aspiring to make that more congruent. So I know that if I am irrationally connected to an individual over mission, I know that what I've done is basically make my identity that individual's mission. When we talk about cults and cult leaders, one of the things about cult leaders that you'll notice is they convinced everybody that they are the direction. They are the mission. And when studying different cults, you'll find that these cult leaders have often changed their story, the goal of the group, the mission of the group, and completely based on the whims of them as individuals. And their followers have just followed suit. We're going right, everybody. Everybody goes right. We're going left, everybody. Everybody's going left. Nobody knows where they're going. They just know that they have to follow the back of that leader. Yeah. And that is what you're susceptible to when you are, number one, not even aware of what your mission is. And number two, don't have the rituals to constantly remind you of what that mission is. So loyalty belongs to mission first, because it's only then will the alliances that you form be congruent with who you are aiming to become.
100%.
Makes sense, right?
Yeah. Otherwise, you end up drinking the Kool-Aid and fucking killing yourself.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And the final man code for today
This is a good one, too. These are all really good, I have to say.
I like them myself. So, number 20. It is more important to be true than to be right. Okay, so again, a couple things in this statement. It is more important to be true than to be right. So I'm saying that both of them are important. I'm saying one takes priority over the other. Being true means that your LOT, right? SIOX LOT, logical order of thought.
Yep.
LOT is sound. Your critical thinking is sound. Your emotions are not playing a role in the process that you adhere to when seeking truth out. It is more important to be true than to be right. It's easy to be right and not be true.
Yeah.
There's a saying, or not a saying, but a phrase, intellectual honesty. And it's basically, smart people shouldn't take advantage of dumb people just because they can. It's the magician. We all love a good magic trick, right up until we realize that there's magic being done on us and we weren't aware of it, right? To be right allows you to use what factors you have available to you to manipulate people that are lesser than you. Another application of this is, I talk about, when my students go to compete. And their sole metric, the way they measure progress, is whether they get the trinkets or not, right? I won the gold trinket this week. Okay, you won the gold trinket. Did you do this that we were working on? Did you do that we were working on? 6 months ago, did you, were you at a lesser developed state than you are today? 6 months from now, the progress that you've been on so far, will you be more advanced or closer to the purest expression of who you are as a martial artist than you are today? Are you moving in the right direction? Because the trinkets don't tell you that. The trinkets is just, I was being right. So I say if you have, you go to a tournament and in your division, you have 10 bums that show up that particular day, the trinket just shows that you're at a minimum, the best bum.
Bum plus one.
Bum plus one. That's the phrase I use. And when you're bum plus one, it has nothing to do with your truth. It has nothing to do with, did you prepare yourself to the best of your ability? Because that is comparing yourself to yourself. And that's what truth is. It's not comparing yourself to somebody else, which is a slave's mindset. And oftentimes when we reduce ourselves to a strategy that is just aimed towards being right, we never adopt, or the pressure to adopt a master's mindset is never there. I don't have to be the best that I can be if I only have to be better than everybody else. Because if they all suck, I'm suck plus one.
Yep.
And by my formula, that's success. And we all know that in the universal formula, or in a universal sense, that is always going to be failure. When you look at, I just saw recently there was an article where I think it was a basketball coach got penalized. It's like a high school basketball team got penalized because his team kept scoring against the other team, and he won by like 200 points or some shit, like some crazy shit. And they felt that he should have taken it upon himself to stop doing, what he trains his team to do because of the effect that it had on the other team. And it just speaks to where we are today in our society, where it's about being right. It's not about being true. When we create all of the different pronouns, my pronouns are,
it,
puppy,
they, them.
puppy, dog, like it's right to follow what those pronouns are, but it's not true to follow what those pronouns are. And when we worry about being right, we subject ourselves to just irrational systems of virtue. I was talking the other day about why women are so emotional. I need a drink before I think.
Why indeed?
We need them to be. And the reason we need them to be is as a species, we want the mothers of our offspring to be like little cult followers to their little baby cult leader. We want them, at the expense of their own mission in life, to do whatever is necessary to protect the life and success of that child. Irrationally so. When we talk about, a mother's love is unconditional. Another word for saying that is a mother's love is irrational. Because there's no truth that could sabotage it. Unconditional sounds so much better,
It does.
I guess we should start calling crazy people. He's very unconditional. And the thing is, when we look at, just the functional aspect of what women are to a species, or what the females are to a species, we want them to have a mindset that I don't care, I'll die so that this baby can live.
Yeah.
You look at rapists, serial killers, the worst of the worst.
Pedophile.
Who loves them? Yeah. Oh, he was such a good boy. He's just misunderstood. I don't know what went wrong. You guys got to get to know him. He's not always like this. And, it's irrational. It's unconditional. And that is being right instead of being true, which is exactly what we want our moms to be. It would be nice if they could tone it down a little bit when we're not talking about children. But that's a different
conversation. But yeah.
It is more important to be true than to be right. And that was 20.
That's 20.
So that was good. So
solid.
20 now. Solid, great. And great conversation pieces, I think. And also I think when we, when all said and done, I'm going to be creating codes that are, I just know it, just giving a little foresight. They're going to say the same thing that a prior code said, just in a different way. But it is what it is. It's about having fun with it. And I think we are,
I think it's great.
So what else is going on? I wasn't paying much attention to the comment feed. Was there anything that I missed that I should have addressed that you saw?
No.
All right, I'm trying to.
No, just in line with what we were talking about. No anomalies.
All right, everybody on board.
Yeah.
Which is good. So, all right, I'm actually going through.
Two on Tom just showed up.
Two on Tom in the house. Just finished my man codes. And some stuff there. There was some stuff there.
Yeah.
All right, let's just get some comments and comment on it. Roberto, mission equals truth. Well, I think we, I went into that just now pretty thoroughly, specifically. But your mission should be based on truth, not your mission equals truth, because then if you change the mission, technically you change the truth, right?
Yeah.
So I would say that truth should be in line with, or your mission should be in line with truth. But truth is a constant. Truth we don't have a say in, right?
Truth shapes your mission, not the other way around.
Carlos says, liking the man codes. Absolutely. Sometimes, people show up to the party just for the little finger sandwiches, right? And that's what the man code is. The man code is just little bites of power.
Bites of power.
Always being right. This is Roberto. Always being right means your life is in a loop going nowhere. Yeah, it could mean that. It could mean that always being right, if you're always being true, is actually what we would call the perfect life, right? It would be what we aspire to. It would be having removed all of the flaw that we probably know. It's like chasing infinity, like we're going to keep removing flaws, but we'll always find other ones. And being true and being right aren't always, married. And,
True.
What?
Well, there's some people that will fight to be right to the point where they destroy the relationship. And it's like, wow, you're right. Awesome. And now go fuck yourself.
Absolutely.
Not a very good formula.
Nick says, nobody's right all the time, but you can be true to yourself all the time. I agree. I agree. And when you're saying, nobody's right all the time, even that is a statement of truth, right? If you're saying you're not right and he's saying I am right, well, who's right? Well, we would go to truth to decide and determine, who is actually right there. So nobody's right all the time, but people can be true to yourself. What that means is what you think is right isn't always right, but so long as you include truth in the process, you will always be able to correct yourself, And I would say that is what being true to yourself is about, not lying to yourself, telling yourself that something you know to be false is true just because it's what you really want to be right.
Or it's easier.
Right. Correct. So, did you notice that everybody's got those rainbow flags now?
I don't have one.
Are you sure?
I don't have a fucking rainbow flag.
Well, I did nothing to get one. You have it?
Yeah, I have it right now. Here we go.
Yeah.
I just scrolled over. It's right there.
Gay.
Gay? I find what you're saying is gay, so I'm going to put the rainbow flag.
I'm going to do it too. I'm going to do a bunch of gay flags.
They added brown, black to the top of the flag?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Not on Facebook.
Not on Facebook. And,
Facebook's racist?
In what's it called? Like they debuted a new flag at one of the Pride parades, and it has brown and black at the top for the people of color, to include them in the flag.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, check this out. I'm going to do like 1 million rainbows.
Yeah.
I guarantee you the Facebook algorithm is going to reward this video if we do a lot of gay flags.
I'm doing a bunch of gay flags too.
Everybody who's watching, do a bunch of gay flags.
We're being very inclusive.
Gay algorithm time.
Gay algorithm time. I didn't know I had it until just now.
Oh, it's completely
so much fun.
Retarded. It's so retarded. The thing is, this is the whole thoughts and prayers thing.
Yeah, thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and prayers. It's like I liked it like a gay would like it.
My asshole.
But this is like if I put a rainbow. If you say something and I'm like watching and I'm going rainbow. What am I saying there? Am I saying if I was gay, I would like this as a gay? I would appreciate this if I was gay.
It's a gay like.
But you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I get it.
What the fuck am I saying?
I take it as people use it as the opposite. Like that was gay. Like
as soon as we co-opt it, they're just going to change it.
It's the first thumbs down.
The
first dislike.
The first dislike. Oh man, I would write a whole fucking blog post on that. But that might be what gets me fucking banned.
Yep, that'll be the first thing. You go at that, banned. Right now, you just have cred now. You could probably get away with a few things because so many rainbows just happened. Yeah. That, like, your credit is high.
More rainbows. I'm putting more rainbows. So
hysterical.
So gay.
So gay.
So, some guy wanted me shot the other day. Did you see that?
I saw that, and every time I see it, I try to like the like that's in the picture.
You know, it's funny. When I screenshotted it, I was like, I should put a filter or something on it because people are going to be pressing the picture. Because I do that shit all the time when people capture shit. So some jack off, and this is, you know, there's so much to be discussed about here. This individual, fucking hipster, you know, Faggotron from Brooklyn, on one of my friends' list.
Yeah.
And he shared the video that I made when I was talking about the girl that got, you know, convicted or found guilty
of using words as weapons,
of murdering a guy with text messages.
Yeah.
And I sent the whole video, and his reaction was he commented, "Shoot this idiot."
Yeah, very articulated comment.
So there's a couple of things there that are worth discussing, I would say. Now, I don't know who this guy is. It's worth saying, like, I mean, I'm not. It's been a while since I've gotten a death threat, any kind of a death threat. It's old hat at this point. Like, I'm not worried or concerned. I don't think this guy's a threat. I don't like all that, whatever. But here's a couple things. So this guy sees this video, and his first reaction is a threat, right? Shoot this idiot. He doesn't look to debate. He doesn't look to counter any of the points I was making.
Yeah.
He doesn't even look to ignore the video. You know, like, there's so much shit. If you, like, whatever your political persuasion is, if you were to go to a Facebook page of the exact opposite, you will find plenty of material that will fucking make you want to throw your computer screen through a wall. Yep. And it doesn't matter where you are politically. Your opposite, right? Your villain is somewhere. Your arch nemesis is somewhere. You can find it. So this guy needed to comment, number one. He needed to comment with a threat. He needed to imply that somebody should take their gun and kill me, right?
Yeah.
Not even that, this guy needs his ass kicked or fuck this guy or, like, not even just an insult or something like that. A physical threat,
You never know. He might be one of the shoot him in the leg guys, so he might not have meant.
It's true. There is room for nuance. But the big thing is, I never met this guy. I don't know him. He doesn't know me. I'm pretty sure that's probably the first he ever saw of me. But he is so both comfortable and deluded, that he could threaten somebody openly on social media, and he fears absolutely no recourse. So let's say that I was a fucking psychopath, right?
Let's say
that my the way that I defended my reputation was irrational, right? Unconditional.
Unconditional.
And I was, somebody who just perceived his threat to be real. He is making the assumption that I'm not like that. He's making the assumption that I'm not going to go and find him and shoot him, thinking he's out to get me, or that what he's saying, somebody's actually not going to follow. Oh, well, he's going to have somebody shoot me. Well, I'm going to shoot him first. He's making all those assumptions. He's so comfortable, in his delusion, that he makes all these assumptions easily, potentially, wagering his own safety in the process.
He's untouchable.
Like, he doesn't think this is a real thing. He doesn't think this is a real world. He doesn't think that people actually go around shooting people. Like, what exactly do you think protects you from this world that is out there? What exactly, detaches you from the consequences of men and their actions? So, obviously, I'm not concerned about this guy. I'm not looking for this guy. I'm not like, if I had a plan to go and do something to this guy, I wouldn't be posting the picture. But it's not. He's not a viable threat. But this is the world we live in. We live in a world where people could say, yeah, this guy should be shot. And I'm not some. And this is, it can go either way. But the way I perceive it, he's not saying that about some fucking sports star that lost the big game, or like some fucking business guy that tanked his stock price or something like that. He's just talking about a guy he disagrees with on the internet. Shoot this guy. And he's saying it in a way that we don't sort of colloquially understand as being, it's just a phrase, right? It's just it's the way we say things.
In the parlance of our time.
Right. And I don't think that is the case at all. But it goes to show just how little consequence is in our society these days. To Tom, we could still just go check him out, a quick meeting, check him out. We should not do that to Tom. Because what's going to happen is we're going to wind up making a good story a great one. Right?
Maybe a guy needs a hug.
Oh, with a fucking bat.
A bat hug.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I mean, I just don't, I don't get how these people are allowed to exist.
Society allows it.
I don't mean his life,
Yeah.
I don't mean like these people should be shot, it's kind of contradictory. But what I'm saying is, the way he is a product of what he's accumulated in terms of successful formulas, right? Assuming this guy isn't, one bad day away from fucking being dead because of his own formulas. Assuming this guy, pays his rent, buys food, puts it in the fridge, and has a friend somewhere. The way he is has developed to this point. And there's never been anything to show him that it's a bad way to be, So it is what it is. Oh, God. Well, Anthony says, bring back dueling. Right? Bring back dueling. Well, here's the thing, Anthony. Dueling is in-tribe. Dueling is a mechanism by which two members of the same tribe can agree under the rules of the tribe to have this conflict sorted out physically with minimal repercussion. So if I, let's say if I have my neighbor fucking ruins my lawn, right? Drives across my lawn, ruins my lawn. Let's say the lawn cost me $2,000. And he ruins it. Drives his car, his truck right over my lawn. I cannot go over there, throw him a beating, and run his pockets for $2,000. Right? The government is not going to allow me to do that. So what we're expected to do, the duel of this society, is that I report him to the police. He faces a consequence to the tribe, which is, in this case, functionally the government. And then I have maybe a civil case against him where I sue him for that money and whatever damages, I endured because of it. It's really, pathetic in a sense, because I may not consider this individual to be part of my tribe, meaning the functional alliances, the group that's built on functional alliances that are connected to my legacy, right? I may not include him or see him as being part of my tribe, but it's the law of the land that this is the interpretation of what the duel is. I would just as soon beat him over the head and run his pockets because I have the ability to do that, to defend that position. I have a tribe that will back me up. But in this case, it's me dealing with him as if he's somebody who's outside the wall, who gets dealt with like a stranger or like an enemy, But dueling is almost a concession that we make of considering somebody to be in tribe. If I'm, there's plenty of times growing up where somebody fucked with one of my friends. I didn't call police. I didn't recruit some tribal elder or representative of authority to sort of oversee and mitigate that. No, he got a fucking beating. And he got a beating because I didn't see him as being part of my tribe. And if I did, because there were times where I had somebody who he and I, wanted to fight, but we had so many friends in common that I wouldn't just sneak up on him with a bat and bat him in the head, figuratively speaking. I would have to go and challenge him to a fight. And that was because I didn't want to sever all of the alliances that were connected to the two of us, right? And that is the in-tribe duel in that sense. So a guy like that, he wouldn't get a duel because I don't consider him to be somebody who shares alliances with me in a functional sense. The fact that we're both, we both have to live under the authority of the federal and state governments, that's an aside. I would just as soon, if I had a problem with somebody who lived in another state somewhere, beat him over the head with a bat when he was leaving his house in the morning, But that's the duel. So, what else we got going on? I think that's it.
Yeah.
All right, man. Good show.
Solid.
Man codes, solid. Appreciate you guys watching. I don't know why, but I always yell when I'm on the show. So, like about the 2-hour point, my fucking throat is killing me. I need a lozenge. I should get a lozenge. Right? I'm rambling. All right, you guys are awesome. I appreciate you guys watching the show. ThePressureProject.com is our website. Info@ThePressureProject.com is our contact email. Our membership site is The Warrior Project. If you are a member, then welcome. And I appreciate you guys hanging out. If you are not yet a member, go and check it out. $47. Try it out for a month. We got the full archived episodes of the Pressure Project episodes. We have all of the power programs. We got the private Facebook group for Warrior Project members. There's a lot going on, a lot of power going on, and a lot of lives being changed for the better. But you can go to thewarriorproject.com and check that out. Aside from that, I appreciate you. And as always, brothers, pressure to power.